and celebrate the lives of this couple, Shelby Nation Allen and Cody Allen. Both families thank you for your support and prayers this past week, today, and in the many days ahead. Shelby and Cody's tragically short lives were far too full to give them justice in the time that we have. We make no claim to do that. Yet family members and loved ones will bring good words to help us see the magnitude of the impact that this couple left in such a short time. I will finish with a few words based on Psalm 23 from the Bible, which were written by King David during a time of intense grief. I'll read those verses now. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. The word of the Lord. Let's bow our heads for our prayer of invocation. Lord, today, these parents, sisters, brothers, and loved ones left behind, grief is now their involuntary journey through that valley of death's shadow. We do not pretend to understand your ways, Lord, especially why Cody and Shelby were taken from us so suddenly. Still, we look to you for hope and for just enough light to show the way through the valley of the shadow of death. Please give your grace to all in need today. Amen. We will hear first from the Chief of Central City Fire Department, where both Shelby and Cody served. Chief Gary Allen, who is also Cody's uncle.
Family, fire family, friends, and neighbors. I'd like to thank you all for coming out today to show Cody and Shelby so much support and love. It's utterly amazing. I may or may not get through this, and if not, for that I will apologize now. Cody Robert Allen was not just a firefighter for Central City Fire, but he was also my nephew, who I loved like a son. Cody really didn't start his fire service in 2009. He actually been a part of us since he was like 2. As he got older and big enough to roll hose and push a broom, he would be right in the middle of us. We could tell that fire was going to be in his blood from that on. At 14, he became eligible for our junior firefighter program and excelled. I could almost see him in my footsteps because I became a captain at 18. He even took the Firefighter 1 test twice before he was 18 just to see if he could do it. And finally, in 2009, when he made it to 18 and became a full-fledged firefighter with our department, Cody got better and better and stronger and somehow became the department pack mule. Then around 2014, 2015, he met a beautiful young woman by the name of Shelby Nicole Nation. They hit it off and became inseparable. At first, Shelby was unsure about becoming a member of the department and was leaning more towards doing the medical side. Shelby came to my office one day and asked me a ton of questions, and she would do that, about what it is like to be on the fire department, and we talked for probably a couple hours. And she then handed me her application. I must have answered everything correctly. Both Cody and Shelby worked on the department up until 2017, when they both came into my office and asked if they could talk to me. I thought that they wanted to do something with a truck or something, so I said okay. So we all sat down. Shelby closed the door. I said, "What's up?" They both looked at me, and Shelby looked at Cody, and then smacked Cody in the arm because Cody didn't say nothing. Shelby turned and looked at me and asked if I could conduct their marriage ceremony at their wedding. I looked at them and said, "Are you sure? Can I even do that?" And she got kind of excited and said, "Oh yes, I already researched it." Well, I thought on it and agreed to it. And in 2017, the two were married, and they were never apart from that day on. Cody and Shelby continued to impact the community in so many ways and touched so many people. And sometimes later, and a little bit while later, Shelby came to me and quietly told me that joining the fire department was the best decision she ever made after marrying Cody. They continue to become pillars of the community through the fire department, as well as other agencies. They were a part of the G-Cart, which is our Gilpin County Animal Rescue Team. Shelby was involved with sports at the beginning, but it proved to be a little bit rough for her at the end, or later on, I should say, on time, so she had to let the sports coaching go. We even had a couple of donkey basketball games, just to name a few of the multitude of groups and people that we helped and that they took under their wing. Cody got his firefighter 2 and EMT, and Shelby her firefighter 1, and wanted to become proctors, and did. And in that capacity, they began helping other departments in the area, not to mention in mutual aid agreements and situations. Shelby wanted to get her EMT as well, and we were doing what we could do to get that done with this stupid COVID thing. But their end came way too soon. Shelby and Cody passed away on Friday, 11 December 2020. I will miss them forever, and I will think of them often. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. You may or may not know that the firefighter's prayer, whether consciously or subconsciously, is a prayer that is lived and breathed every day by every firefighter. I invite you to join me silently as I recite the firefighter's prayer. When I am called to duty, God, wherever flames may rage, give me strength to save a life, whatever be its age. Help me to embrace a little child before it's too late, or save an older person from the horror of that fate. Enable me to be alert, to hear the weakest shout, and quickly and efficiently to put the fire out. I want to fill my calling and to give it the best in me, to guard my neighbor and protect his property. And if, according to your will, I have to lose my life, bless with your protecting hand my loving family from strife. Amen. We will now hear from two of Shelby and Cody's closest friends, Gilpin County Deputy Sheriffs Amy Collins and Lee Ramsey.
One universe, 9 planets, 204 countries, 809 islands, and 7 seas. And I had the privilege of meeting you guys, Cody and Shelby. How lucky am I? It's funny because in times like these, Shelby would be the one I would turn to for the right things to say. She always gave the best advice and would let me know everything was going to be okay. Every girl needs that one best friend in her life with whom she can share everything without fear. Shelby was that person to me. She was the one person who understood me. She knew my strengths and weaknesses, could read my mind, knew my heart, and was able to feed my soul. So since she wasn't here to endow me with her words of wisdom, I turned to my husband, Grant. However, I remembered he told me Shelby was the one who helped him write his wedding vows, which meant I had to dig into my inner Shelby to get this accomplished. Girl, help me out today. I can't count the number of times over the last week I have picked up my phone to text her, only to remember there's an empty line now. I will no longer have those good morning texts from Shelby or those random Snapchats from Cody. There wasn't a single day that went by when I didn't talk to either one of them. Shelby and I had an extremely strong bond from the start, from our late night wine parties to our matching tattoos. I'd always vowed to keep her safe if she kept me wild. She was my person, the glue that held me together when I needed it the most. And of course, she was the one person I could count on to keep my Amazon orders a secret from Grant. She truly was the best confidant, and of course, my partner in crime. I will always have those 1 million memories, 10,000 inside jokes, and 100 shared secrets, all because she was my best friend. I will miss Shelby the most when something really good happens, because she was the one I would share it with. I will miss her when I'm troubled, because she was the one who understood me so well. I will miss her when I laugh or cry, because she's the one that made that laughter grow and my tears disappear. I will miss her all the time, but I will miss her the most when I'm doing our favorite things, thinking about all the wonderful times we spent with each other, knowing those are some of the best times of my life. Wednesday and Saturday morning breakfast will never be the same. Wednesday mornings, Cody would send me a text, 8:15 Red Dolly, in which I would reply, I'm starving. I'd always be Cody, Ruben, and our newfound family member, Jack, and of course, the occasional Gary. Saturday mornings, the times varied depending on what trouble I may have found or what type of call would have dropped. It was always Shelby, Cody, Danny, Lenora, Tyler, and I sharing our weekly family breakfast. Cody and Shelby loved each other so much. One person even told me the love that Cody and Shelby had for one another was so exemplary. They too wanted to have that kind of marriage one day. Their love had no boundaries as it stretched beyond one another and into their family, friends, and the community. It's evident the immense impact they've made, not only on the community they reside in, but the fire community as a whole. They were both mentors and role models to current and future firefighters. I reached out to those closest to Cody and Shelby and asked them to tell me things that reminded them of Cody and Shelby. 2 things that were unanimously mentioned were their big smiles and kind personalities. Before I get into the list of things I want to share, I do want to share one of Shelby's favorite stories that she liked to tell. It was a wine night. Grant had a DUI shift and he dropped me off, and she had her sangria and I had my glass of Moscato, and we sat there and had a great time. And then Ruben came to pick me up to take me back to the sheriff's office, and we decided we wanted to scare Ruben. That was Shelby's favorite thing, was to try and scare people. So we go outside, and of course up there they're not allowed to have their lights on, so it was pitch dark, and we found this bank of trees, and we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna hide behind these trees. These look perfect. He'll never see us. She sent me a picture the next day and said, did you see these trees we were trying to hide behind? I said, no, they were a half-inch thick. Mind you, we did successfully scare him, and he didn't see us, so we pulled it off between those half-inch thick aspen trees. But continuing on with the list of things that people wanted to share with me. Daisy and Dixie, their fur babies. Their horses, Tattle and Cowboy. Hunting, the Red Dolly. The jackpot. Don't forget, Shelby had to have her cinnamon pancake. Cody had to have his coffee with sugar, or should I say his sugar with coffee. Snapchat, sangria, pedicures, tobacco. Cody's always had to have that dip in. Scooby, Susie's nickname for Shelby. Chevy, Shelby and Grant always had their Chevy versus Ford battle. Sun chips, hamster pillow, bobsledding on backboards, camel crocs, fighting over Randy's barbecue sauce, two-stepping, Cody's firefighter mustache, the stock show, county fair, gymkhana, America. They love their red, white, and blue. iced tea with lemon, lots of lemon, a bowl of lemons, Starbucks, go-go boots, working out, mountain ops, that was Shelby's newfound love, volleyball, sunflowers, Loch Lomond, and tattoos. These two beautiful souls left the earth way too soon. They left behind many memories, people who love them, and significant imprints on everyone's hearts. For now, they will be the ones keeping us safe and wild as we have the watch from here.
Well, if I can do half as good as you, Gary, and you, Amy. I'm Deputy Ramsey with the Sheriff's Office. I've been there for 20 years. But prior to that, I was with Central City Fire for 7. I'm not here because I'm Cody and Shelby's best friend, but because that time, in my 7 years, we became part of the family. We're here to celebrate the life of Cody and Shelby. I got some stories about those two, but we'll get to those in a second. You know, I wanted you guys to know how I looked at those two individuals. Like, the Royals have Kate and William, and Gilpin had Cody and Shelby. A match made right here in Gilpin County. It's truly special. This is the Central City Fire, right? Because we have a lot of families here. We have the fire department. We have Shelby's family. We have Cody's family. To you, Gary, and your crew, like, right, that's the worst call you guys can never go on. Your worst nightmare just happened. And we recognize that this call is different in many, many ways. We've been so lucky to avoid such moments like these in Gilpin County, and I don't know why, but we've been able to starve off a lot of things. And this is the hardest moment. And I believe it's when you know the attention of Cody and Shelby, they just started living life, being independent, getting things going just the way they wanted. They love being part of the community, embracing it, rather than just living in it. So I talk about Cody. So during those times when, a long time ago, it'd be like 25 years ago, we'd be rolling back to the station after a call, and there'd be a little boy. Well, it'd be, I'll stick to the scripture, hang on. Every time we got back to the station, it'd be Stephen, Becca, and Cody. They'd be sitting in the truck. Well, the windows would be down, our arms and legs hanging out. They stayed in the truck. I don't know, Lowell, how you got them to do that, but they were never out. As it turns out, you guys know, Cody joins the fire department and eventually becomes the first full-time Central City firefighter besides Gary. Gary, if you remember correctly, you promised me that I'd be the first full-time paid fireman. And that was 27 years ago, but it's okay. Cody did a great job. I haven't known Shelby as long as I've known Cody, but one thing stands out to me: she's the real deal. And when she was on your team, that means forever. And to the family to the community out north, to Netherland High School, she coached, she loved you guys, and you're not forgotten. I think we can, hang on, stick to the script, Lee. Shelby is known for helping the community, everything from being a daughter, a sister, a mentor, coaching. During that time, she's loving, caring, generous, compassionate, and a recruiter for the fire department. Every time over the past couple of years, I'd see her and she'd be like, "Lee, are you and Tom joining the fire department again?" I'm like, "Shelby, we'll see. As soon as I get some things taken care of, maybe we can." Tyler, she loved setting up your graduation invitations. She asked me, she's like, "Lee, you coming up?" I'm like, "I don't think I am." But I was over at the school, and then here come the cavalry, like, right, here comes Central City Fire and all the trucks. I'm like, "What are you guys doing here?" He's like, "For Tyler." She loved helping others. Shelby, Gary already said this, Shelby too joined the Central City Fire, where she really stepped up, going through Firefighter 1 and 2 and helping others pass the class. She was invested in our community. This is what makes them so special to our community and why it hurts so bad. I can't take your pain away from any of you here today. But what we can do is I can give you some suggestions how to honor them. I'll get to those in a second. I'll tell a couple stories. I got this, I kid you not, I got this story like 10 minutes before I got here. I called someone and I'm like, "What's your favorite memory, Cody?" This was shared at the fire station the other night. And back in the old days, Gary was 370, Lowell's 371. Dispatch is trying to get 371 because I believe he called in a smoke sighting, and they keep trying to get him. And Cody picks up the radio, says he's not in the truck. So it's probably when he started thinking maybe we're headed to the fire career. This is a good one. So Cody shows up to a call and he's soaking wet, and I'm like, "Cody, why are you wet?" He's like, "I was in the shower." I said, "Oh," I'm like, "We're Shelbs." That's what I called her, Shelbs. But he's like, "She's in the shower." I'm like, "You left her?" He goes into the casino. Shelby pulls up, soaking wet. I'm like, "Why did he leave you?" And here come Cody, and she says something. She calls him a name, and I'm like, "Whoo!" He puts his little grin on and keeps walking. But I know this. Then he changed, because we're at the school. And Cody had arrived before her. And Cody sat in the Gilpin side. And I don't know if you guys know, but I think she's pretty competitive, and I'll get to that here in a second too. Cody arrived and he stood over by the door, right? And he comes in and he sits down in the Gilpin section. Here comes Shelbs. She comes in, walks right past him, goes over to her section. Cody stands up, bloop, goes over and sits with her. So I know he adapted. He was adapting to her. This is kind of crazy. So I didn't know she was so competitive, and like I said, I wasn't a super good friend. We had each other's number, but she coached, and it was kind of funny when she was coaching and she'd get mad, and the way she stood, I'm like, "Ooh." So she's in the bleachers. I'm being a line judge, and it happened to be against Netherland. And she's up in the stands, and I called it in. In her eyes, it was clearly out. She sent me a text. Like, hang on. It was clearly out, and I called it in. Here's what she texted me. She told me to get new glasses or simply remove myself from the line, and she could do it. She did say it very kindly, but I know she's just giving me a hard time. And a hard time's what we're going through. Next, and this is just a couple weeks ago. There's a slide off up near the reservoir. Deputy North Skelton, not to burn you or anything. North Skelton says, yeah, he's about 15, 20 feet down off the road, and he says, I'm trying to extricate him. I had just driven by the fire station. Cody's like, hey, if you guys need me, let me know. And I'm like, all right. So, really, I get on the radio. I'm like, Gilpin 13, Gilpin 6. You want the fire department to respond? He's like, that'd be a good idea. And Cody gives me the thumbs up. And off they went. As I come to a close, I want you to all know it's a very trying time, and you're not alone. We all grieve differently, but one thing's for sure. We have to be grateful and thankful that they were in our lives for whatever reason. If you're reminded, when you're remembering and you're reminded of them, reach out. Carry the torch and continue what they were about. Support their ideas. Coach a team. Get involved in the community. Get involved in the community. Just don't be in the community. Become a firefighter. That's what Shelby would want. It's a little simple gesture of for Cody and how you can remember him. And this came to me yesterday, but like right, the sheriff's office, we drive around. He drives around. But he always did this, whether he's in the county car, in his personal truck. I may adopt it. But his little wave when you drive by, most people are like, yo. Cody sticks his arm out and gives a little shake. Please, please. You all can do it. I did it as soon as we figured out what happened to them. We can't control others, but what we can do is take care of ourselves. Everyone that you know, please see if they have carbon monoxide detector. That's how we got to protect ourselves. If they don't have one, contact the county, we'll get you one. Okay, I'm almost done, I'm sorry. How can we honor them? We can keep them in our hearts and move forward. I want you to remember they're fallen, but not forgotten. We can help pick up the pieces of these shattered lives. We can listen gently. This isn't going to be done today or in a few weeks or years. I want to thank you, Susie, Sydney, Wesley, Lowell, Mike, Gina, Brett, Stephen, Rebecca, Aubrey, for sharing your cowboy and cowgirl with this community. Thank you.
Good words, thank you. Now we will hear from Shelby's stepfather, Jeff Lawrence, as he delivers the joint eulogy.
On behalf of the family, we would like to begin by thanking everyone that has sent their condolences. We have each received phone calls, emails, texts, flowers, visits, thoughts, prayers, and let's not forget to mention all of those delicious and much-needed meals. We all are truly blessed by the love our community has shown us. It's a reminder of the impact that Cody and Shelby had on so many. I'm Jeff, I'm Shelby's stepfather, and I'm honored to be standing up here to tell a little bit about Cody and Shelby. I speak for all of us. Mike, Susie, Jen, Sydney, Wesley, Lowell, Gina, Steve, Stephen, Brett, Rebecca, and Aubrey. As most of you know, they loved their community, their family, and their friends. They were both very independent, and when a task was at hand, they just got it done. Shelby was born Shelby Nicole Nation on February 7th, 1993 in Atlanta, Georgia. She was Mike and Susie's first child. Her siblings are Wesley and Sydney. They lived in Georgia from 1993 to 1998 before moving to Arizona, and in 2004 they landed in Colorado. Shelby attended Nederland Middle High School and the University of Colorado in Boulder. Go Buffs. She graduated with a bachelor's degree in integrated physiology with a minor in business. After college, she worked as a physical therapist and coached high school and club volleyball. She worked as a Gilpin County 911 dispatcher and victims advocate. She truly loved helping people. In July of 19, she decided to change it up and began working as a site foreman at C&L Water Solutions Incorporated. And let's not forget to mention that she was a volunteer firefighter for Central City Fire Department. She had a multitude of hobbies that filled her life with joy. She loved to play and coach volleyball, go hiking, horseback riding, hunting, working on her truck, and learning to operate heavy equipment. Her favorite was the front end loader. She sure loved to make piles of dirt. One of her other passions was physical fitness. She usually arrived at the gym before 5 a.m. She wanted to be strong so she could keep up with those boys, and she definitely wasn't afraid to get dirty. Shelby was also the bravest and most fearless person you would ever have known. She jumped at the chance to try anything new and was always first in line. From being the only woman participant in an axe competition, to being bold with the boys, to being first on scene, to winning the game, and then coaching the winning team. She was an unwavering force with a brilliant mind and kind heart. She was warm and welcoming to every person she ever met and was never without a smile. She told the best stories and could make anyone laugh, even on their darkest day. Shelby was the best daughter, sister, wife, pup, pony mom, and friend that a person could possibly ask for. Cody was born Cody Robert Allen on May 24th, 1991, to Lowell Allen and Gina Bailey. He was their first child and had 4 siblings, Stephen, Brett, Rebecca, and Aubrey. He lived in Gilpin County his entire life. He attended Gilpin County School and Warren Tech, which began the classes needed for a career in firefighting. He began volunteering for Central City Fire Department in 2006 as a junior firefighter, and in 2009 he finished his junior program and became a volunteer firefighter. He had taken multiple classes over the years to increase his knowledge in fire science. Those certifications included hazmat, wildland fire, and EMT. Cody made lieutenant in June 2015, and a leadership role was definitely his true calling. His lifelong dream was to be a full-time firefighter. While honing his skills for his dream job, he worked as a lifeguard and was with maintenance personnel for Gilpin County. In August 2019, his dream finally came true when he was hired by Central City as the first full-time paid firefighter. Cody had a few different hobbies that really brought joy to his life. He loved the rodeo and competed with his high school rodeo team as a bronc rider. Oh, the stories we could tell. He also was an avid hunter of antelope, deer, elk, or waterfowl at Pruitt Reservoir. He loved archery and black powder hunting most of all. A few of his other hobbies included horseback riding, bowling, attending Colorado Mammoth lacrosse games, and country jam. Cody had the most beautiful soul and had a smile that would light up the room. He was kind, giving, trustworthy, strong, steady, resilient, and a teacher to all who needed it, whether it was fixing a car, fire-related things, or backing up a horse trailer. One of the best qualities Cody had was he had the patience of a saint. Cody was the best son, brother, husband, pup, pony dad, and friend that a person could possibly ever ask for. Now that I've shared a little about Cody and Shelby individually, let me tell you about them together. Their story began in 2014 at the Gilpin County Fairgrounds. They met while at a bonfire, eating hot dogs and marshmallows. Over the course of a few years, their relationship bloomed, and it was apparent that each had found their soulmate. Cody called Mike and Susie to get their blessing to ask for their daughter's hand in marriage. Neither of them could have handpicked a more suited companion for their daughter, and Cody's parents were over the moon. Cody and Shelby were married on August 18th, 2017 at the Ellis Ranch. They both knew the hunt was over. They had 4 fur babies, 2 dogs, Daisy Mae and Dixie Lou, and 2 horses, Cowboy and Tattle. They sure loved their fur babies and integrated them into every bit of their lives. Cody and Shelby had just celebrated their 3rd wedding anniversary. To celebrate, they went to Walden, Colorado, to hunt antelope. This week has been filled with a lot of emotion, and through the tears, our families have shared a lot of memories. We have laughed and cried and laughed again, each memory bringing up another memory, and it was hard to narrow it down to a few to share with you today. When Shelby was about 5, she was driving her Power Wheels Jeep around the house while Mike and Susie were setting up a badminton net. Shelby came around the side of the house and they noticed she fell asleep, drove right into the net. The net caught her nose and flipped her back. Thankfully, this was the last time she fell asleep at the wheel. And how about the time she was learning to ride her bike? The training wheels were off and Dad had let go. Dad was right beside her, encouraging her and saying, "Turn, turn, turn," as she drove right into a tree. Another vivid memory that Mom had was the time she would drive her scooter to school alone until she told Mom that she almost left with a woman to help her with a dog. After that, Mom was always secretly watching. Cody's stories are just as funny. We all were laughing so hard when we heard about the time Cody came home from school and said he had gotten hit by a car at the bus stop that morning which made him fly into the snowbank. Mom's first question was, why didn't he think he needed to come back into the house and tell her? He said it was because the bus came, so he just got on. He also let Mom know that the neighbor did stop to be sure he was okay, and had to tell her that the man's breath smelled of alcohol. Even as a little guy, he was assessing a scene. Another fond memory that was shared was during his Cub Scout years with one particular pack meeting where the kids were asked to crumple up paper and place in a box. They had no idea why, and once everyone was seated, Gina, Mom, and Cub Master divided the room and then gave the kids the crumpled balls of paper so that the snowball fight could begin. It was fun and loud, as one parent commented. Lowell also shared with us a time he was fishing in Yellowstone. He noticed that Cody was barreling down a hill so fast, and there was no slowing down as Cody reached the river's edge. Lowell had to grab his jacket midair and fling him over to the river's edge. The kid truly had no fear. Cody and Shelby were perfectly balanced and in sync. They loved each other fiercely and lived every day to the absolute fullest. They were the perfect match and made each other stronger and more grounded. Shelby and Cody challenged each other and made a dynamic team. They loved each other deeply and spread that love to everyone else around them. The world was a brighter place with them lighting the way. They set the world on fire. I think I can speak for everyone who knew them that they will be missed, and I am sure not a day will go by that we will not come across something that makes us think of these two beautiful people and their two fur babies who left our world way too soon.
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. And thanks, everyone, for those great words. You know, firefighters know what it's like to be in black, hot smoke, so intense, so thick that you literally can't see your hand in front of your face. And it can cause the anxiety to rise. It can cause fear to start to grow. And you may forget that you're there to search for somebody and try and get them out and start to look for the door instead. But then you see it. That faint light from the headlamp of your partner. Just enough to know that you're not alone. You have not been abandoned, and it's okay to continue, even though it is still dark. When we're disoriented by grief in the darkness of death's shadow, we need light. Not a lot, just enough to know that we're not alone. Psalm 23 was written by an anguished man, acknowledging his pain and his fear. Even though, he said, I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. He still had hope. Just enough light to give him hope so that he could journey through, not around, but through the valley of death's shadow. Your daughter, your son, your sister, your brother, your friends, They were tragically taken away from us way too soon. And it's not fair. And it hurts. You were not asked for your permission to travel this valley of the death shadows. You were put in chains and you're forced to. But you are not alone. You have the light of the promises of God's word, and fortunately for us humans, who God created in his image for a reason, you have each other. You have each other's light. Moms and dads, brothers and sisters, and loved ones, it is the light of each other's presence that will sustain you in this valley. It may be dark, and it may be hard to see, but just like that light from the fellow firefighter's headlamp, you can know you're not alone. You have each other's light. No preaching, no judging, just each other's presence. Cody and Shelby taught us how. I think it's safe to say that Shelby and Cody were people-focused. Well, maybe after their puppies and their horses, but as servant leaders, Cody and Shelby clearly cared for others more than themselves. Their dedication to serving others through the fire service shows that. And all of you who honor Shelby and Cody today already know that. The 19th century poet Henry David Thoreau wrote that most people live lives of quiet desperation and go to their graves with their song still in them. Not Cody, not Shelby. They sang their song boldly. Their light shined brightly. You saw their light and you heard their song. Cody and Shelby did not die with their song still in them. And now they leave it and their light with you to add your light for each other. So, dear families, while we speak of the light and the song left by Shelby and Cody, we know one thing for sure. Their light, their legacy was first lit and fanned by you. Life, and especially early death, can tempt us to doubt our part in others' lives. Yet, we all see that Cody and Shelby had great sacrificial character, a character which you helped to shape. So we thank you for shaping and sharing Cody and Shelby with us. The world is better because you did. Now, may God and all of us here help lighten your path through this valley and help you to know you are not alone.
Hope is an anchor and love is a ship. Time is the ocean and life is a trip. You don't know where you're going till you know where you're at. And if you can't read the stars, well, you better have a map, a compass and a conscience, so you don't get lost at sea or on some old lonely island where no one wants to be. From the beginning of creation, I think our Maker had a plan for us to leave these shores and sail beyond the sand and let the good light guide us through the waves and the wind to the beaches in a world where we have never been. And we'll climb up on the mountain, y'all, we'll let our voices ring when those who've never tried it, they'll be the first to sing. Oh my, my, I see you on the other side. If I make it, and it might be a long, hard ride, but I'm gonna take it. Sometimes it seems that I don't have a prayer. I let the weather take me anywhere, but I know that I wanna go where the streets are gold, 'cause you'll be there. Oh my, my. Well, you don't bring nothing with you here, and you can't take nothing back. I ain't never seen a hearse with a luggage rack, so I've torn my knees up praying, scarred my back from falling down. I spent so much time flying high till I'm face first in the ground. So if you're up there watching me, would you talk to God and say, tell him I might need a hand to see you both someday. Oh my, my. So I see you on the other side. If I make it, and it might be a long, hard ride, but I wanna take it. Sometimes it seems that I don't have a prayer. I let the weather take me anywhere, but I know that I wanna go where the streets are gold, 'cause you'll be there. Oh my, my, 'cause you'll be there. Oh my, my.
We'll now enter the more ceremonial part of our celebration, beginning with the bell ceremony.
All uniform personnel. Stand put. The men and women of today's fire service are confronted with a more dangerous work environment than ever before. We are forced to continually change our strategies and tactics to accomplish our tasks. Our methods may change, but the goals remain the same as they were in the past: to save lives and to protect property, sometimes at a terrible cost. This is what we do. This is our chosen profession. This is the tradition of the firefighter. The fire service today is ever-changing, but is steeped in traditions 200 years old. One such tradition is the sounding of a bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Through the day and night, each alarm was sounded by a bell, which summoned these brave souls to fight fires
and to place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow citizens. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of the call. When a firefighter had died in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was the mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced comrades' passing. We utilize these traditions as symbols that reflect honor and respect to those who have given so much and who have served so well. To symbolize the devotion that these brave souls had for their duty, a special signal of 3 rings, 3 times each, represents the end of our comrades' duties and that they will be returning to quarters. And so to those who have selflessly given their lives for the good of their fellow man, their tasks completed, their duties well done. To our comrades, their last alarm, they're going home.
You may be seated.
A cold beer's got 12 ounces. A good truck's got maybe 300,000. You only get so much until it's gone. Duracell's in a mag light, a needle drop on a 45 are the kind of things that only last so long. When the new wears off and they get to getting old, sooner or later time's gonna take its toll. They say nothing lasts forever, but they ain't seen us together, or the way the moonlight dances in your eyes. Just a t-shirt in the kitchen with no makeup and a million other things that I could look at my whole life. A love like that makes a man have second thoughts. Maybe some things last forever after all. The FM station on the outskirts, blue jeans after years of shift work, are fading out like I always knew they would. The strings on this guitar, the first love lost on a young heart, those things are gonna break after the getting's good. Because the new wears off and they get to getting old. But yeah, sooner or later time's gonna take its toll. They say but they ain't seen us together, or the way the moonlight dances in your eyes. And I know there'll be that moment the good Lord calls one of us home, and one won't have the other by their side. But heaven knows that that won't last too long. Maybe some things last forever after all. After all. If it wasn't known that our love will carry on, I will be the wind that echoes on the canyon wall. One more day with you to walk around our neighborhood. We will never know like it was understood. We never say goodbye. Just let me hold the light. If you've given up, I will call an end to this. I will be a rock from my perch. If you walk the ridge, you will find the marks, the scars. Kneel down by the tree under the setting star. We never say goodbye. Just let me hold the light.
imagine what it will be like when I walk by your side. I can only imagine what my eyes will see when your face is before me. I can only imagine. Surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus? Or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence? Or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine. I can only imagine. I can only imagine when that day comes and I find myself standing in the sun. I can only imagine when all I do
Stand by for Central City Fire Department alert. Gilpin dispatch calling L37 and L3386. Gilpin dispatch calling L37 and 386. Gilpin dispatch calling L37 Lieutenant Cody Allen and 386 Firefighter Shelby Allen. No response from L37. No response from 386. Lieutenant Cody Allen and Firefighter Shelby Allen are end of watch on December 11th, 2020. Firefighter Shelby Allen and Lieutenant Cody Allen, you entered God's final page. Well done, good and faithful servant. Lieutenant Cody Allen served for 11 years at Central City Fire Department. Lieutenant Allen, thank you for your continued dedication to our community. Your support and leadership to the Red Line is inspiring. Firefighter Shelby Allen served Central City Fire for 4 years. Firefighter Allen, thank you for your kindness and friendship to your team and citizens. We are so grateful to you both for your unselfish dedication, loyalty, bravery, compassion, and service to the citizens of Central City and the Gilpin County community. You've blessed so many lives. Your badge family is honored to know you and will miss you. Your memory will continue to live on in the hearts of those left behind. Firefighter Shelby Allen and Lieutenant Cody Allen are now guardians for all firefighters as they continue their service of responding to emergencies. Last call for Lieutenant Cody Allen, line 37. Last call for Firefighter Shelby Allen, line 386. It has been a pleasure to work with you both. Your tasks are complete. Your duties well done. Rest easy, sister and brother. Go in peace. We have it from here. Dispatch clear at 12:33.
bow your heads for our prayer and benediction, please. Father, like the psalmist, we need you today and in the days ahead. Life will go on. Jobs must be returned to. Central City must be served. And we must be fully engaged in them. Shelby and Cody clearly believed in full engagement. They lived life fully. Help us, Lord, to engage life fully ourselves. At the same time, help us to patiently honor each other's grief in its varied facets. Lord, give each of us just enough of your light, and help us to share that light with others as we and they stumble in the darkness, as we journey this valley of grief together. Lord, be with those who remain as we commit the souls of Shelby and Cody to your merciful care. We ask especially that you keep this family in your love and in your light. Amen. Okay. Well, we're coming close. I have two things to mention. If you received a share a memory card, or did not, I believe there's more back there still. But if you have not already left it, leave it in the helmet on your way out, please. Okay, and with some entries, of course. And also, I'm not sure of the reception afterwards. I believe there's a procession that you are invited and welcome to join, and it's going to go by the fairgrounds where you're welcome to. It's not a traditional reception because of COVID, but please join for the sake of the family. Okay, honor guard.
first thing that I'm gonna do is spread my wings and fly. I'm gonna land beside a lion and run my fingers through his mane, where I might find out what it's like to ride a drop of rain. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will shed the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. I'm gonna walk with my granddaddy, and he'll match me step for step. And I'll tell him how I've missed him every minute since he left. And then I'll hug his neck. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will shed the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. So much pain and so much darkness in this world we stumble through. All these questions I can't answer, and so much work to do. But when I get where I'm going, and I see my Maker's face, I'll stand forever in the